Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I've got another Knipex tool to take a closer look at today. This is the 9562-190, and what this thing is a wire rope cutter. It's actually an incredibly high leverage, very beefy nipper for specific kinds of cutting, including wire rope. A lot of cutters, like these types here, are not designed for wire rope. They might be for certain kinds of wire, a lot of copper wire, softer wire, or galvanized steel, fencing, things like that. But to cut wire rope is a little bit different. You might be able to cut through it with these, but because they've got two flat jaws that come in at an angle as they're closing, as they close they make a V shape, what happens is the cable actually gets kind of smeared out, and then it ends up getting an uneven cut. Now, these were my very first wire rope cutters. Suntour Corporation, these are Japanese, they're for bicycle wire. You can see right there, bicycle cable cutter. That's what they were for. They were great at snipping off brake cable, derailleur cable. That's what they did really well. You can see right there, that focuses, how flat that is. If I try that with something, I'll do it with these snap-ons here. You can hear it's several different braking. Actually, it's not even cutting. Whoops, that's what's going on. It's just mangling the wire compared to something like this. Beautiful cut. But I had also used these for heavier wire, wire rope. Mainly I use the thicker stuff for fencing trusses, but there is a more sombering use, which I'm going to get to in a sec. But anyway, these were another one that I used, and these actually do a really, really good job. If I can close them with this gets in the way. What happened is I'm trying to close it and I'm running into that thing. Kind of a pain, but let's go ahead and nip off some here. Excellent job. You can see, just wonderful. Not the best feel in the hand. So as I was upgrading some of my tools, I thought I'd check out what Knipex has to offer, and this is what they have to offer. You can watch this. Just snips right through. Beautiful cut. Try that one again. Small piece. I mean, this is probably the easiest cutting. Super, super sharp blades and forged steel. These things, how big can it cut? Well, as far as cutting copper cable, it can go up to this thick. Whatever you can fit in there, it'll cut. As far as stainless steel or steel stranded cable or wire rope, about 4 millimeters is what they recommend. It's about that big. So you can see I'm just using drill bits to simulate that. If I go down to, let's see, what is this one? This would be the hard wire. I can cut up to 4 millimeters of hard wire. You can see how that fits. And then piano wire, if you've ever cut piano wire, it's just crazy. Ruins a lot of tools. You can often see tools like this and they'll have a ding in the blade right there. That's because somebody cut piano wire with it. Not supposed to, but that would be about this size. And in fact, I have no trouble believing I couldn't just snip off this drill bit without any trouble or without much effort. Anyway, this one has a comfort grip handle. It also has a tethering hook or a tethering loop right here. So, if you're working where there's a chance you might drop it, either drop it into something or drop it down onto somebody, that's what that's for. I didn't necessarily need that, but the one that I found available had these particular features. This also has a lock right here. They make another one that has a very similar kind of a spring in it that helps you open it. This one, the spring is inside. Did you notice that? Pretty cool. You don't see it, so it's not making this big, cumbersome, crunchy, noise right there. It's inside, which allows just a super fluid operation of these things. The lock doesn't take it completely locked. There is a little bit of a gap, and my guess is that's because if you're putting ferrules, like I do that on the end of bike cables, putting ferrules on the cable, so you'd put the plastic or the metal cap, a little aluminum cap on it, and it will easily slide in here. If you look close, it'll easily slide, and then I can do my crimping without risking opening these jaws. These are going to go somewhere else. They're going to actually go in a backpack. These could go in the backpack as well. Why? Well, there are a lot of snare traps around, and they catch dogs. And so if I'm taking my dog for a walk, I guess I call them my new dog walking pliers, and we're in any of the public areas where trapping is allowed, there is a chance my dog could get caught in a trap. Now, snare traps, you can release them. In fact, there are three main kinds of traps, and if you're ever in Montana and you're walking your dog in forests, you might want to double check how to open traps. But the problem is the snare traps grab around the snout. They can cause your dog to suffocate. It's very hard to calm your dog down. So it's actually recommended, to be able to go in and, cut the dog free from the trap. They usually don't use stuff like this. It's more like this, which easily cuts because you don't have sometimes a lot of time. In fact, some of the conibear traps, you have about 2 minutes to get your dog out. That means from the moment the trap goes off to the moment you can free up your dog so they can breathe again. Now, these probably won't cut through a conibear. It depends on the size. But usually you can, if you know how, you can reset those. They make kits, actually. Can you believe where we're at? They make kits on how to release a conibear trap to get your dog out of it. It usually involves zip ties, but you can do it with other things. You can do it with rope, paracord, if you know. But snares are pretty common, and it's actually recommended to bring a pair of actual wire rope cutters if you're out, in case you don't have enough time to try and undo it, especially if your dog's fighting, which they will. That's kind of the point. Anyway, as far as cutting, as far as crimping, these are amazing. Love them. I'm never going to retire these. I've had these probably for, Jiminy, do I even want to think, 40 years I've been using these. But I'm also interested in upgrading some of the tools to some newer stuff. Got wire. Got to be careful with shooting wire around. But anyway, there they are. The Knipex 95 62-190s. By the way, if you do some Googling, you can find actual maps of where traps are located and what if a dog has been caught in that trap, and sometimes what the outcome of that interaction was. So that's where we're at today. By the way, not just flexing with my giant Knipex here. I didn't think about it very closely. I have nowhere to put this unless I want to occupy an entire drawer in my toolbox. So I'm just going to enjoy it about right here. The other thing I realized is I can use this for converting quite easily. I was going between, say, metric and inches, but also I wanted to know like how thick is something. If it's in 4 millimeter, I can set this up and go right to about 4 millimeter, close enough there, and then I can toggle through to find out exactly what its conversion is. So just another use I discovered for this. Obviously I could look it up, but if I'm doing something, that was just as easy. Anyway, with that, Doc out.